So are you asking yourself what blew up in my kitchen? Some days I ask myself that too. Good morning. Welcome to the Wellness Homesteader. If you're new to my channel, my name is Kim. So it's a very rainy September morning, and I actually think that I have most of my fresh produce under control. I'm still getting some tomatoes. I'll just share with you. This is called a cosmic eclipse, and my son got me these seeds for my birthday. So I have a few of these left, and then a few just big boy and better boy. It's been such a dry season that a lot of my tomatoes aren't pretty because I grow organically. But if you're canning or using them to perhaps make something like salsa, it doesn't matter how pretty they look on the vine. So I have over here my ball electric canner. I have it loaded completely full of salsa. So that made me feel good that I finally got that done, because it is a crisis when you're on your last jar of salsa, and I truly am. So I'm gonna have about 6 pints, which is not, a huge amount, but it is at least a start with what I had ingredient wise on hand. Over outside of the camera view, over here, I have some chicken in the crock pot, and I ran into the long-term pantry to grab some cream of chicken soup, and totally out. So I forget I have this. So this is a mixture. It's cream of soup base. So it has like chicken bouillon. This is a chicken base, it's not a vegetable base. Non-fat dry milk, some different things, and I'm telling you, this is so delicious. So I mixed that up, harvested some more fresh rosemary, and I also have sitting here in front my bread that I made on Wednesday's video. So guys, let me just share this. I think this might be the best bread I've ever made. So if you're thinking, I don't know, how did it turn out? Because I did not taste it on the video because it was hot. Let me just show you how beautifully this bread turned out. I went, oh, it smells so good. Very heavy on the rosemary, which is what I wanted. But I also did use thyme and tons of sage, and it is amazing. So don't forget to check out Wednesday's video if you're interested in a very good new recipe. All right, so what am I up to? I'm getting ready to start my sweet onion jam. So let me just give you kind of the DL on what I'm gonna do. I know you've all seen onion chopping before, but the first thing I'm going to do is prep my onions. I have my Earth Cycle compost bucket right here. If it ever stops raining, all of my waste from the onions will then go in my compost bin to turn into rich and lovely soil. I don't currently have chickens to feed, so I don't know if chickens eat onions anyway. I would not think so. So once I get these all chopped up, they will go on the stove with some butter, some canning salt, and we're then going to cook them for about 70 minutes. The original recipe called for 20 cups of onions. I don't know how many cups I'm going to end up with, so I'm going to get to chopping and measuring, and then I will bring you back to show you next steps, so stay tuned. So I have my first 3-pound bag of Vidalia onions, all peeled, cleaned, washed, and now I am going to be using my Vidalia Chop Wizard. I will leave a link in the description box below. Guys, this is a game changer. It makes it so fast. So it comes with 2 cutting screens, a very fine, which is, I've used these for apples, but primarily I like the coarser for the sweet onion jam so that your onions don't disappear. So simply cut your onion in half, press down, and it puts it into this nice little container below. And then it looks like I'm putting forth tremendous effort, but it's actually because I'm short, and what you all can't often see is I stand on a little step stool quite often, because of our little step. It's actually an exercise step, which I should use for exercise. At any rate, then you can just lift it out and look at the beautiful, evenly chopped onions that will cook evenly as well. So I'm going to keep chopping and measuring out. I'll bring you back shortly. So this is a 3-pound bag of onions. It's about, I'm going to say 2 quarts, about 8 cups, according to the measurement on the bowl. So I am going to go ahead and start working on this second bag of onions. And then when I get everything chopped and ready to go in the pan, I will bring you back. I failed, pardon me, got a little bit of onion. I failed to tell you too, I want to give a shout out to Heather over at the Kneady Homesteader. I learned to make sweet onion jam from her. This is her recipe. So if you aren't part of her channel, you may not realize Heather had a major tragedy. They were struck by a drunk driver. Her husband was killed. They were all very injured. And Heather is still on the path to recovery, but she has so many great videos. Hop on over to her channel, give a subscribe, give her some love, and tell her Kim from the Wellness Homesteader sent you. So always want to give credit where credit's due. So I'm going to get back to work. It is going to smell all spicy and oniony in here today. So yeah, it doesn't smell too much like fall, but stay tuned. Unfortunately, 3 of the onions in the second bag were not good onions, so I had a couple extra Vidalia in the refrigerator. So it probably equaled out to about 5 pounds of onions. So I have 12 cups. The original recipe calls for 20 to get 12 pints. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to cut the recipe down. So I'm going to tell you how I'm going to make it, because I do it a little bit different anyway. And her recipe is absolutely delicious as well. Her video is only about a year old. Go out and check out her video as well if you want to see how Heather did it. So what am I going to do here? I have a little better than half stick of unsalted butter that I am going to start melting down. Now, I have done this with salted butter and it came out just fine. I try when I can to use only non-iodized salt, and I highly doubt that salted butter is non-iodized. So I'm going to start with the unsalted butter, and then I'm going to be very strange and I'm going to add about a teaspoon of salt to these 12 cups of onions. So let me, I guess, swing you down here. So I have onions aplenty. And guys, if you notice, I look sweaty and I don't have makeup on and I don't have my hair down. Yeah, buddy. I don't worry when I can how I look. So y'all get what you get today. So this is interesting. One of the bags of onions came from the Amish market. They are local. The other came from the grocery store. 3 guesses which were bad. The ones from the grocery. So that's okay. We should have looked at the bag, but I don't know who the imaginary we is. I like to blame things on Frankie, but honestly, I can't blame that on Frankie, right? So let me start these. And we are going to let these cook down and caramelize to a beautiful golden brown over the next probably hour and a half. So let me grab my teaspoon of salt, and I am just using Mrs. Wage's pickling salt. Some of you may wonder, hey, why didn't you show your recipe for your salsa? And I'm going to share it with you because it's super easy. Mrs. Wage's salsa mix. I love it. I get far more compliments on that than I do on my homemade salsa. So yeah, that's what I use, and everybody loves it. So I'm going to let these cook down. I have 11 minutes left on my salsa. Then it has to, the lid off and power off. It has to sit for 5 to 10 minutes before I take it out of the canner. I'm going to cover my canner back up but leave it off so the water stays hot. I'm not wasting water or more energy, and continue working on our sweet onion jam. So I thought I would bring you back. We're at the 1 hour mark in case you get discouraged as you are cooking down your onions. So these are now nice and soft. Let's see if I can get a scoop here, as you see, but they haven't started to caramelize at all. So I've turned the heat up just slightly. I am using enamel coated cast iron. Do not use, I do not use aluminum for this process because we're going to be adding vinegar, which can sometimes produce an off taste. So I am just going to let this continue to cook down. It may take another 30 minutes. It may take another hour. It's somewhat dependent on how much water is in your onion. So don't get discouraged. Don't hasten the process, because that caramelization is what produces that delicious flavor we're going for. So as you can see, we've achieved a beautifully caramelized pot of onions. And this took me about 90 minutes. I think it depends largely on your stove, how hot it is. May even depend on how thick your pot is, not sure. So now the fun begins. I am going to add just over 1.5 cups of balsamic vinegar. I'm going to go ahead and turn it up to high because we want to bring this to a boil and boil 15 minutes. So one of the things I do a little differently, and I'm going to try it for the first time this time, is I put some whole black peppercorns into a tea bag. Just going to try to loop it around here so that I don't lose it or forget about it. And I would love to have some of that black pepper bite. And the final thing I'm going to add is 2 cups of packed brown sugar. So while all this has been cooking and working, I have all of my jars washed in hot soapy water, and I've put them back into the canner to keep them not only sanitary, but to keep them hot. And I haven't turned it up, of course, to process. I just have it on sort of a low heat, getting those jars ready, because this hot, bubbly onion jam is very hot going into the jars, so you do not want to put this into cold jars for sure. So you may hear in the background it kicking on and off on its cycle. So I'm going to wait for this to boil. I'm going to let it boil again 15 minutes. Once that process is complete, we'll start jarring up, and I'll bring you back then. All right, guys, please excuse the crock pot in the foreground. I'm running out of space in here. So our delicious sweet onion jam is ready for jarring, and I've gotten my first jar out of the canner, so it's nice and hot. Let me remind you, this jam is like molten lava. Super hot, guys, so do not burn yourself. Please be careful. So I am going to give it about a 1/4 inch headspace. You do want, oh, y'all can't see. Well, ooh, that's hot. Scooch that back. There you go. Oops. Ugh. Not on the trivet. Okay. Here we go. Now we got it. You do want to debubble, because this is very thin to start, but it's gonna get thicker. So I always debubble. And then, because this is a very, very sticky jam, high in sugar, and the jar's hot, guys, really make sure you get that rim perfectly clean so that you won't have problems with sealing. Now I'm using a wide mouth pint jar. I've just found that for jams, that's very helpful. Again, the lid finger tight, and into the canner I go. each time I put a jar in the canner, I will get a second jar out and just continue the process. So I will bring you back when I get them all in the canner, show you how many I got with 12 cups of onions raw, and stay tuned. So while I wait for the canner to come up to a full rolling boil so I can start timing my 10-minute time, 5-minute rest, I wanted to share with you, I ended up with 3 pints. Now normally I don't process such a small amount in the canner. However, the canner was already hot. I used every onion I had, and normally I can those in jelly jars, so I would have had 6 or nearly a full canner. But I'm choosing to do pints for a couple reasons, and basically I've learned how I use it, so it's very good in and on meatloaf, and if I'm gonna make meatloaf, I make one, freeze one, so it would require the entire jar. Okay, so I have something exciting to share with you. Have you all heard of Azure Standard Company? They are a company that distributes all organic products, mostly organic products, let me correct myself, but they have such a wide variety of products. And you sign up for a drop site near you, and it comes with some regularity, like about every 4 weeks. My drop point is only maybe 30 minutes away, not too far, and my order will be coming October 1st. What's exciting to me is this is supporting farmers that care about their crops, their produce. They want things to be fresh and organic and the highest quality possible. So Miss Gay over at Apron Strings, hey Miss Gay, had done a couple Azure hauls, and I'm like, what is this? And I'll be needing that. So she shared with me, and I was able to find one in my area. So I can drop the website in the description box below. I have not gotten my first order, so let me share that. So I don't want to say, oh, they're wonderful when I've never tried it. I have been learning about baking bread with whole grains and some ancient grains and the health benefits. Now, I am new to this. I am not an expert. I am not an expert grain miller. The only grain mill I own today is an attachment to my KitchenAid mixer. So I've invested in a Wonder Mill grain mill. I have also invested in some organic whole grains to learn, as I've mentioned in so many videos, how to make Ezekiel bread. Because the more I learn about that bread and the health benefits, the more I know I need it in my life. So I am going to be taking you along with me on my journey. I also need to pull the trigger on another shelving unit. Oh my goodness. For my front room. The alcove is full, and I don't feel like I'm hoarding. I don't feel like I'm over prepping. But things take up a lot of space, and I don't want to have to play Jenga to get something out, you know, because things are really stacked. And I'm also really a fan of the 5-gallon buckets. So Azure also has the 5-gallon buckets with the, oh my gosh, with the lids, you know, the tight sealing lids that you just screw on, and the name escapes me. Menopause brain, that's what I'm going to blame it on. But at any rate, gamma lids, that's what they are. I want to have another shelving unit so that I can put my 5-gallon buckets kind of distributed among the 3 and have all of my grains quick at hand. So one of my goals that I have set for myself is to prepare all 3 meals, 100% of my food, using as many organic, homegrown, or the least amount of store-produced items that I possibly can. So that has kept me very busy this summer. And even today, I know it's not a huge amount of food, but this food will serve me well. I know where it came from, and I know it was prepared properly and safely. So I'm going to pause you because my canner's coming up to boil here. I need to get up and set the timer, and I'll see you in just a moment. Well, I hope today has been an encouragement to you if you're a little harvest weary, which I think we all get towards the end of the season, and I don't can for a large family, so I'm doing things in a much smaller quantity. But just to share with you, I have 6 pints of salsa. The reason this has a lid on it is because this is mine to eat now. I have 3 pints of sweet onion jam and a little bit left over, so those 2 will go into the fridge. I also was able to get my dehydrator empty, so here's my rosemary, my oregano, and my sage vacuum sealed, so when my current spice jars are empty, I will be able to just fill those up with my homegrown organic herbs, and I'll be very glad to have them. Well, my chicken is smelling good in the crock pot, so I'm gonna go have some chicken, some brown rice, and some fresh tomatoes, I think. So I hope you've enjoyed today. Drop me a comment below. How is your harvest going? Do you get harvest weary? I certainly do. As always, be healthy, be well, be blessed, and I'll see y'all very soon. Take care.